slowly.
Well, you know, one thing that's important about what Master called the final exam, which is that how we pass, literally, where our mind is, where our consciousness is, what attitudes we're holding as we're leaving. And it's always fascinated me. So this could sound silly, but it's not. But I literally sometimes practice dying so that I can leave well, leave with right attitude, leave with God on my mind, leave with an open heart, not leave caught in all of the body stuff or, gee, I wish I had done this, or why didn't I do, which is how most people die. I've been around so many people as they've died. And there's a lot of regret that people realize right in those last moments. And Master tells us, don't do that. You remember when Swamiji was he went to see a man who was in the hospital. And when he came back, Master said, how was he? And asked about him. And Swamiji said he kept talking about how he wished he had done other things in his life. And Master, who's Yogananda, just said, oh, I wish he hadn't done that. Because at that last moment, our energy determines so much about what happens. You know, we talk about the astral plane. We talk about it like there is one astral plane, but there are many astral worlds, and we don't all go to the same one. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, because we are on a path where so much of it intentionally was kind of, the language was changed. It was westernized for us. So it's not always like it's shared in India, but because I had that Indian teacher, Sankeshava Das, who I've spoken about many times, spent so many years with him, traveling with him, literally living with him, I got to hear much more of some of the more, they're just truths, but they're a little more esoteric. And so I heard these, but there are many different astral, we can call them planes, but they're actually astral worlds. So there's not one place. It's not like, oh, we get out of here. You know, even the astral worlds can be very different experiences. Now, that's not so important for us to understand right now, because all we need to do right now is know. It's like taking any class or course or being in college. Most of us, unlike Swamiji, we have to study as we go. If we don't, when we get to the final exam, we probably won't do well. I used to have a recurring nightmare. It was a nightmare. I haven't had it now for years. Thank you, God. I think it means something spiritually in my life. But the dream was always that I was there and I had to go in the next day and take an exam in a very hard course. And I realized at the moment that I never took the course. I forgot. I forgot to go to classes. I forgot to read the book. I forgot to do the homework. And I was horrified. I mean, it was a nightmare. It was just a nightmare. I knew I was going to fail. And I think it's very significant that that dream doesn't come anymore, because I'm not great at interpreting dreams, but you can hear it was not a great dream to have. So all of life is preparing for that final exam. Spiritually, that's what we're doing. That's the answer to the first question. I mean, all of it. We're just getting ready. But I will say one more thing about that. It's been an incredible privilege for me on this path to watch how many people who have been on this path for decades and who were very close to Swamiji left their bodies. When Swamiji told Leela, who had been, Leela, I'm sorry, I started saying Layla, but then I was going back, now it's Leela, who had been with him. Well, she had been on the path all of her adult life, but she was with him. It's funny, she was known as his cook, and she was his cook, but being his cook was her life's spiritual work. She was a very deep soul. There are many stories about her, although they're interesting because she was preparing for the final exam. She would often leave events early to get home to prepare exactly something for Swamiji the way he wanted it, exactly. Or she never left the consciousness of serving her teacher, never, which is amazing. So she would be introduced, oh, this is Swamiji's cook. It's an interesting thing. But the way she was doing it as a very high being was different. But she was diagnosed with lung cancer one day. She went, she had her X-ray lung cancer. When she came back, Swamiji said to her, you will die. This is how you'll leave your body. And she went into her apartment, which was very close to Swamiji, up at Crystal Hermitage. She never came back out. And she chose her visitors very carefully because she was going to die consciously with God in right attitude. It was beautiful. We all know the story of Devarshi's wife, Maria. Same thing, had an MRI, tumor, her breast cancer had gone into her brain. She went home, would only see certain people. Even when Jyotish and Devi came to see her, they talked for a while. And then she said to them, all right, enough, get out of here, you have work to do. They had flown up from LA where they were involved in, was Swamiji still alive then? Yes, he was. They were down there doing big work with Swamiji, living with Bharati at the time. We've all heard a lot of those stories. She looked at them, get out of here, go home, you have work to do. And that beautiful line, which is on my altar, but I never remember, so you can, how it starts, so you could all help me. What she said to Devarshi as they walked in for the MRI. Detach yourself. Detach yourself, which he said himself here, he was having trouble doing. He was not detached from the fact that she was leaving. Detach yourself, control the reactive process. That's what we all live with, and then live the teachings. That's what she said to him going in for the MRI. She knew. She knew. She said to him over and over, this tumor's in my brain now. I mean, she was very symptomatic. Wasn't hard to know. Anyway, so this is right up to that last moment. Master said there's 3 seconds that are very difficult when you're leaving your body. They're very difficult. He said that. We could hear that they're very difficult, or we can hear 3 seconds. 3 seconds. I remember when I used to, I don't know, I don't go into gyms anymore, but did any of you ever get on what's called a Stairmaster? I used to get on those Stairmasters, put them at the highest level, and just go for an hour. And people would say to me, how do you do that? And I would say, I could do anything for an hour. I could do anything. I just determined that. Now I'm being told it's 3 seconds. I hold on to that. Yeah. Okay, it's hard. I'm going to stay here. I think about it a lot. Okay?